FrugalSim videos are powered by Jetline Systems. Hello YouTube, this is Frugal, and I'm here in X-Plane 11, actually in the Aerobask DA62, but that, however, is not the focus of this video. There will be separate videos covering that. What I wanted to do was, in that last video that I did in X-Plane, I mentioned that part of the challenge for me in doing more X-Plane videos, and X-Plane is a fantastic sim that is maturing at an astonishing pace, but part of the problem for me, and I think many of you transitioning over to X-Plane, is just that, transitioning over. You lose all those tools and wonderful things that you're used to. Now for me, a very important tool that I lost was Chaseplane, and obviously prior to Chaseplane, EasyDock. I never knew of anything even remotely similar to those tools in X-Plane. Now, a few people over the years, because I haven't just started X-Plane, I've been doing X-Plane videos for quite some time, but over the years, people have said, Frugal, check out X-Camera. And I got X-Camera some time ago and tried it out, and I did not like it. I couldn't get along with it. I hated it just because of the user interface. It just seemed intimidating to me, so I stopped. But looking at more and more of the videos that I put up on the weekends in the news show, particularly the videos from Thomas Rasmussen, I see some of the things that X-Camera could achieve. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try again. And that last video, that Just Flight Arrow video I did, is me using X-Camera for the first time. Now, I'm not in any way an expert with X-Camera, but I did want to show some of you who are maybe considering a jump into X-Plane, or who have already jumped into X-Plane and are thinking about a camera tool. I want to show you what I figured out X-Camera can do. And it's actually kind of cool. So, first things first, I want to point out, this is very, very important. Kind of dull, but important. It's handy to have a separate controller set up to manage your views. So pan, tilt, moving the camera around, zooming in, zooming out, but also handling presets. Now for me, in Prepared, FSX, and so on, I use a Razer Orb Weaver, which is a programmable keypad that sits beside my actual keyboard or my yoke or my joystick. And I'm used to using that in those other sims, and I'm used to having certain keys do certain things. For example, I'm used to when I press this key, not quite what I wanted, but that would be the pilot view. I'm used to when I'm pressing this key, that would be avionics. So what I wanted to do was achieve an identical set of views and buttons in all of my aircraft in X-Plane that I have in all of my aircraft in Prepared and FSX. So if you have that separate controller plugged in, Xbox controller, PS4 controller, Razer Orb Weaver, whatever, let me show you what you can do with that once you have X-Camera installed. So you go up here and go into keyboard, right? And you can see here, I've already got buttons. Hello, why are you not working? Let's go into joystick, sorry. So I already have buttons assigned. So that button that I said was the pilot view, and you can see when I toggle it here, button 12 selects the camera with a view ID of 4. That is important because in X-Camera, you can define views, and you can actually do it very, very simply. I'll show you the key bindings I have for that in a minute. You can actually define views, and you can specify their IDs. You can set the IDs of those cameras, and then using a controller like an Xbox controller or whatever, you can just say this button does that view, this button does that view, and so on. So then when you get new aircraft and set them up, just make sure that the IDs of the views match what you're used to them being, and you will magically find that you can jump to preset views as you would expect. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. I have other buttons on this Orb Weaver bound. Now, incidentally, if you're using something like a Razer Orb Weaver, I know there's a Logitech thing, the G, they're all called G, aren't they? The Logitech programmable keypad thing. You can set these things to just issue joystick buttons. So I have a profile that I use in FSX and Prepared, which just issues joystick buttons, okay? 21 of them, in fact. And so I don't need to reprogram this using the Razer software. I just do it in the sim. But anyway, I have this button here, which is previous camera in the current category. Typically in Prepared, this button, when I press it, moves my eye point up. So think about it. If I'm looking at the pilot's eye view in a 737, clicking this highlighted button, I would expect the next camera to be looking up, typically up and to the right, the light switches. Press it again, now I'm going to go to the overhead view. If I press this one, the next camera, as opposed to the previous, I'm going to move my eye point down. So I'm going down from the overhead, down to the pilot view, then down to my instruments, and then down to my auto flight system, and so on and so on. Have those buttons all set set up. And the way that you're setting these up is actually pretty cool. As you can see, these are mapped to X camera presets. I can show you how that works. If I click on this one again, click on edit, you can see here, these are all X camera presets. In the button assignments, you go SRS, X camera, and there are a ton of things that you can assign down here, which is very, very, very cool. You know, toggling whether a camera is actually even going to work, toggling whether you can move the camera, and so on and so on. It's very, very, very flexible in terms of a programming interface. Anyway, let me move on. So I have that one, which allows me to move the camera, rotate and pitch with my mouse, which is kind of cool. I have this one, which is, I love this one, creates a new camera in the current category as a clone of the current camera. I'm going to show you what that button does in about 60 seconds. It lets you very, very quickly build out a complete set of cameras in the aircraft. Enough of the buttons. Let me show you X camera. Now, I will warn you, X camera's interface is not pleasant. It's highly functional, very much like EasyDock used to be. So I've toggled there. I have a mini panel down here which I can toggle on and off. This gives me quick access to things like the control panel that you just saw, settings, and so on and so on. Also gives me access to quick views. Now, by default, when you enable X camera on an aircraft, X camera will automatically pick up any quick views, any standard X-plane views that have been defined, and make X camera views for them. I'm going to delete all of these because I like to make my own. I'm going to show you how that works. That's where the control panel comes in. So I'm in a category. You can have a pretty much unlimited number of categories, pretty much unlimited number of cameras. We're in category 1, which is cockpit. And you can see over here, here's that UI. It's very, very funky. It takes a little getting used to. I'll walk you through it here. So I have a cockpit category, and I've got quick look 0. I'm going to delete all of these quick looks. So now I've got a view that I previously defined called pilot view. Now, look at these buttons down here. Enable track IR, enable track IR limits. I'm not currently running track IR, but if you do, you can set views up to use it or not use it. And with the limits thing, you simply lean to the left, lean to the right, lean forward, move up, move down, and set the limits here with these buttons, which is a fabulous feature of X camera. It stops you falling outside of the aircraft or moving your head, rotating your head through the seat behind you, which is very, very, very useful. So just bear that in mind with these two. If you want, you can enable the head shake thing if you're using XP Realistic, which is a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous thing. If you have aircraft that support it, you can turn that on here, and so on and so on. One button which drove me crazy is this one, retain mouse look position. Now, by default, this is normally on, which means if I'm in a view like this and I have this set up as this is the view my pilot has, and I move the view, so I grab that mouse and I shift the view to the right or the left or look up or look down, it actually updates my view, which is a royal pain because when I snap back to this view, it's all changed. If you say retain mouse look position, I'll show you what that does. So we get rid of this. Now I can look around, and as soon as I let go of my mouse, it's going to stay exactly there. That's the view now. Nothing I can do about it. Now, if I go into that control panel again and I turn this off, watch what happens. So I look around now, let go of the mouse, and we snap back. That is what you want when you're finished setting up your views. Don't leave it on all the time, okay? But when you're finished setting up your views, turn that on. And obviously, smooth transitions and all these other transitions give you that wonderful, smooth, animated effect as you move between cameras. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave retain mouse look position on. I'm going to turn on enable smooth camera transition. These are the defaults that I want for all of these cameras I'm about to create in this aircraft. Now, I've done camera setup videos before. I've done a chase plane one. I think I did an EasyDock one many, many moons ago. I seem to recall they took a while. Watch this. So I've got everything set up, and I'm kind of mumbling and double checking because I'm still not an expert in this at all. But this is the view I want. In fact, I'm going to turn off that mini panel just because it's kind of getting in the way. All right, so I'm going to move around a little bit. All right, as a pilot flying, where's my head go? Okay, my head goes about there. So I'm going to lift my head up a little bit. That's the view I want as the pilot flying, right? Now, you remember I bound a button on my Razor Orb Weaver to clone the current camera. That's why I just went through setting all those things up. So I'm going to clone the current camera.
Added camera 2 to category cockpit.
Now, because it's copied all the settings from that first camera, including retained mouse look position, I can just move around. So my next view, I want to focus in on these instruments down here, right? Much better. So I'm kind of looking squarely at these instruments. How is my aircraft doing? How am I navigating? Great. Let's go ahead and clone this one now.
Added camera 3 to
My next
category
view,
cockpit.
I want my avionics stack over here. I want to control my radios, my flight plan, use this G1000 to set up where I should be going and monitor where I have been already, and we'll clone that.
Added camera 4 to category cockpit.
Now I know down here there's some kind of handy buttons and stuff for managing my fuel and my center console things. So let's pull the camera up. Whoa, now my views are all getting all screwed up. Sorry, my buttons are a bit screwed up there. I just want access to this. We're going to clone this camera.
Added camera 5 to category cockpit.
What else is there? Anything else I want to do? Well, sure. Let's go ahead and have a view, which is just that panel. Nothing else. Going to try and center it. And I think that's good. Now, what I've just done is created an entire set of cameras for this aircraft in about a minute. It is crazy fast once you understand kind of what you're doing. All I need to do now is cycle through all of these views and turn that retain mouse look position off. Watch. So go through these, through these, through these. Great. So that's my panel view. I can name them all up here if I want to, if I so desire. Now, more importantly, I want to get my up and down. So this button rotates or moves me to the next view, which is my instrument stack. That's great. This button moves me over there, which is my avionics stack, which is great. The next camera in the views is that, fuel, which is not great. I don't want fuel to be next. I actually want the entire panel to be next. So what I can do is move this camera down. Now, from my avionics stack, if I hit next camera, it's the full panel. So I got a nice logical set of views. But even better, I would like to be able to snap to these views in a hurry. So I know that typically this would be ID number 4. I have my Razor All Weaver buttons all numbered, so I know what's what. This would be view ID number 4. And I know that, hang on, I'm counting my buttons here, 5. So let's go down. This would be view ID number 5. My avionics stack or CDU in a 737 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. ID number 7. Done. I've set up IDs for all my views now, which means I can instantly snap to whatever I want. So pilot flying, let's go take a look at my avionics. Pilot flying, let's look at my instruments. Avionics, instruments, avionics, pilot flying. So we'll jump very quickly to any view I want with a wonderful smooth transition. How cool is that? Now, same principles actually apply to setting up the external camera. So let me pop open this control panel once again. I have two categories here, cockpit and, of course, external. I'm going to get rid of all these quick looks. Again, I don't like the built-ins. Now look at this. Enable level camera obviously keeps the camera level. Enable track camera heading, track camera pitch are very, very useful because they let you do funky stuff like this. So retain mouse look position. As I cycle left or right now, or even up or down, the camera, because I have retained pitch and heading, always looks at my aircraft. This is cool. I used to hate setting up. I still do actually don't particularly enjoy setting up my external cameras, even in chase plane, which I adore. Don't like doing it because it's a raw pain. So once again, retain mouse look position, enable track camera heading, enable track camera pitch, and external camera watch. I can just hit that clone button now.
Added camera 2 to category external.
Let's pull back. Let's go over to the left here, cycle up a little bit.
Added camera 3 to category external.
Let's get a nice dramatic kind of behind the aircraft, seeing where we're going kind of camera there.
Added camera 4 to category external.
Let's go a little bit closer. Maybe we can get a good view of the aircraft's engines working in flight.
Added camera 5 to category
Talking
external.
of those engines, let's do a little view from over here. Done. I've now got a full set of external cameras produced in no time flat. Love it. Now, having set up all these cameras, it is very important to go into that control panel and save. That saves them all, so the next time I load this aircraft up, it's going to have all my views. But there's more. There's some amazing stuff here. Watch this. Airport cameras. So I'm going to click on Generate Airport Cameras, and it's going to ask me some really weird stuff that honestly, my cat's meowing. Honestly, I still don't fully understand, but camera position offsets in meters, runways. What is my offset horizontally and vertically in meters? Well, let's make these numbers a little bit smaller because I think that's going to put me too far away. So let's say 20 meters. horizontal. My vertical, let's only go up about 15 meters above the runway. My starting positions, I don't know what these offsets are, but we'll just lower these because I want to be a little bit closer to the beautiful aircraft that I'm filming. Yeah, signs 2 meters away. Sign camera culling radius in meters. I don't know what that means. And create. So now I have 4 camera categories. Look, I've got starting locations, helipads, runways, viewpoints. These are airport cameras. And for these airport cameras now, check this out. I can cycle through each camera. So let's go to the next category, helipads. I don't know what the helipads is because that's kind of stupid, but you get the idea. Runways. There's my runways. Fabulous. Really good view of the runway. So I just created world cameras in no time at all. If I wanted to manually do this, I'd just do what is done here. So I maybe turn off track camera head and track camera pitch and let me do whatever I want, but turn on free camera, and you can use the same principles to go ahead and create your free camera. Now, having done all that, it's worth noting that my quick views are still all there as well. And I can drop down to the category and look at my external views and cycle between them. That's kind of cool. There's another little trick though. You're gonna love this. I love this. If I go to toggle control panel once again, this time I'm gonna create an orbit. Love this, love this, love this. We're gonna call this ground orbit because you can create an orbit which goes over and under the aircraft, right? Which is useful for when you're flying. I'm going to do a ground orbit here. So we're just doing this on the ground. So the radius in meters, I want a 12-meter radius orbit. The minimum height of the camera is 0.5 meters above the bottom of the aircraft. Okay. The max height in meters, we're going to go about 4.5 meters, and I want this to run for 120 seconds. I also want it to be continuous and go. Done. Now I've got another camera category here, which I'm not going to toggle. I'm going to use my buttons to do it, which is this. So now I have that silky smooth, beautiful, artistic, cinematic flyby. And if I were making a proper video here to show off this aircraft, I don't do those kind of videos, but if I were, I'd start shifting the lights around and maybe put in some dramatic music, and it looks very, very professional, and it took me no time at all to make this. So that is X Camera. You can download it for free and try it out. You're limited, I think, on the number of cameras you can create. I'm not entirely sure, honestly, but I seem to recall that you're limited in terms of some of the functionality, like exactly what you can create, or maybe that you can't save or things like that. So it's worth paying for it. I don't recall the price. I do recall it's cheap. It's between $10 and $15. It's very, very cheap. It is absolutely worthwhile. Stick and Rudder Studios, who made it, have created an amazing, amazing, amazing tool if you can get past that rather fugly user interface, because it is really quite fugly. Read the manual. I'm still working my way through the manual, but read the manual. It explains everything that this wonderful tool does. It is worth checking. It is worth getting. As always, my name is Frugal. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.